a review of James White versus Leighton Flowers debate on whether John 6 verse 44 teaches unconditional election. Now, this is a more general review of the overall unconditional election debate held at First Lutheran Houston than my last analysis of this debate, which focused solely on White's opening statement. This video aims to provide a holistic overview of the debate, briefly examining each phase to uncover the strengths and weaknesses of both debaters and their arguments. White came out of the gate forceful, confident, and prideful, full of hubris and arrogance. His opening statement was insanity mixed with anachronistic, anti-chronological misreadings of Scripture and misapplications of gospel. However, for all his bluster and chaotic method of interpretation, White is sly. He articulated the common and popular methods used to explain the surrounding text and labeled these systems bad methods that lead to a false understanding, labeling all alternative interpretations to his own as flawed. On the other hand, while Flowers came out talking fast, his cadence gave off a certain lack of confidence, which seemed especially present when speaking on either the proper meaning of Koine Greek words or the Calvinistic claims about Jesus' teachings in the Gospel of John, leaving an opening for White to exploit later on in this debate. This initial vulnerability left Flowers susceptible to White's strategic traps laid out in White's opening statement. Traps Flowers walked right into. Given that Flowers went up after White's opening statement, this inability to adapt on the fly and sidestep these obvious traps made Flowers look unsophisticated. During the rebuttal phase, White's argumentation bordered on incoherence, yet he aggressively attacked Flowers with the ferocity of a starving man armed with a pointy stick hunting a cornered rabbit. That pointy stick being presuppositionalism, its tip targeting the rabbit's reason and logic on a hunting ground of irony. Flowers, in his rebuttal, focused on exposing the flaws and errors in White's interpretive method, highlighting White's deficiencies in literary interpretation, reading comprehension, and contextual understanding. Basically, that White can't keep word order straight and seems not to understand either the order of linear events as they happen or how the process of writing and reading works. The cross-examination phase was a bloodbath, with White massacring Flowers, wielding his debate prowess like a weapon. When it came to Flowers' turn to hit back, he did land some effective blows, but White simply responded by scolding Flowers for daring to correct him, showcasing White's bullying demeanor. It was ugly for any supporters of Flowers to witness. At one point, Flowers got so frustrated that he mentioned infant damnation at a tactically vulnerable moment, leaving his soft underbelly for White to ravage. I wanted someone from Flowers' corner to throw in a towel and for the host to call the fight. It was like that scene in Rocky IV. White was rude, a bully, and a jerk during this phase of the debate. As the debate progressed, Flowers started standing up for himself more assertively, though way too late to change the flow of the debate at about the 1 hour and 40 mark. As Flowers continued to grow a backbone, White's arrogance became offensive as he refused to answer questions from Flowers that were just as relevant to the topic at hand as the questions White posed to Flowers and demanded that he answer. For Flowers, I think the high point of the debate happened just around the 1 hour 50 mark, almost toward the end, when he landed a solid uppercut to the body, hitting White's credibility by exposing his hypocrisy in chiding Flowers for tactics White himself uses. In White's closing statement, he arrogantly proclaimed victory by conflating his interpretation of John chapter 6, verse 44 with a universal truth all monotheists of the Abrahamic traditions would agree with, that of affirming the sovereignty of God. with his equating an affirmation of that sovereignty as an admittance to the truth value of unconditional election, disregarding the diverse perspectives within Christianity and other Abrahamic traditions on this theological view, exclaiming that therefore his understanding of John 6:44 teaching unconditional election is correct. This display of hubris is insulting and alienates not only Flowers and the viewers that support him, but also all religious people who hold differing views on unconditional election, that is, differing views from White. This debate was the Nixon-Kennedy quagmire of theological debates. While in the room, White's boisterous triumphalism may have played well, it did not do so for the audience at home. White then spent the rest of his closing gaslighting the audience in the assumption that he was and is correct, and that Flowers is weak. In Flowers' closing, he again took the bait and fell for White's emotional badgering, this time from White's closing statement, forcing out an awkward defense of his mentioning of infant damnation, and all to White smirking a smile that said, "I have this fool in my hands. Dance, puppet, dance." Flowers then tried to explain or justify his lack of ability in Greek or any other biblical language, when he should have been attacking James White on his implication that we would need to understand biblical Greek to properly interpret the Bible on a debate stage. Flowers should have quoted White from James' own debates against Muslims, where he has said that you don't need to know Arabic to understand the Quran in English, and then just make the equivalent analogy that you don't need to know Greek to argue over the proper meaning of the biblical text in the English, that the level of translation we have in our modern Bibles makes White's mockery and insult to the very fields he claims to be an expert in, accredited or not. But Flowers did not do that. Instead, he closed with the attack he should have given in his rebuttal. Alas, Flowers is too genteel for this type of public debate. Flowers' last flourish at the end was too little, too late. And unfortunately for him, he lost the debate. In conclusion, while Flowers may have entered the debate armed with data, his southern courtesy and hesitation to engage in aggressive rhetoric proved to be his downfall. Despite White's confidence and bravado, his arguments lacked substance and coherence, relying instead on intimidation and manipulation. Thus, while White may have sounded more confident, it is regrettable that facts and logic succumbed to hubris and pride. Flowers did more than lose a debate. He gave a poor showing for those who would follow him in opposing those like James White.